There she is.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, Michelle.
Good morning. How are you? Hello.
Good.
Hi.
You all look awake. I just got out of bed.
I had to set an alarm this morning to get up. It was not fun.
I didn't use the alarm, but yeah, just getting started with the coffee. I'm Ann. How do you do? Nice to meet you.
And I'm
Good
Michelle.
to meet you, Ann. I'm Keith. How are
Very
you?
nice to meet you, Ann. I'm John.
Nice to meet you. Thank you guys for setting this up. This is very cool.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Have a
Good morning,
Michelle, do you
Taylor.
want to go on video? Hey, Jake, I'm glad you made it.
Hey, thanks. Good to hear from you, Keith, and nice to see everybody here. I invited another member of my team to join, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Oh, of
no,
course.
more than merrier.
No,
Excellent.
they're not allowed.
Right. I'm going to do a virtual
I'm
background.
to go on video.
I'm going to choose a virtual background.
My video camera was off last night because we had a virtual Passover Seder last night, and my son was controlling the videos, and he kept muting me and turning off my camera as a joke.
Hey,
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, look,
Long
I
time
know
no
you.
see. Yeah.
Look at that. Excellent.
That's great.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Jake,
morning.
are you in San Francisco?
No, I'm in Chicago.
Wishful
just- I like-
thinking
I like to play with virtual backgrounds, as folks
I like
know. Hiding some of the elements in my apartment at the moment too.
there. I should probably do the same. Sorry about my
I just read
bedroom.
about that.
So if you hover, if your window's kind of minimized, and then you see where it says stop video, you'll see a little caret next to it, and then you can choose virtual background. And then some are
Okay.
built in, but you can also just include your own photos if you'd like.
Oh, excellent. I will definitely check that out. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's a big craze, at least that I'm seeing on the internet. I'm a big Twitter guy, and everyone's doing all crazy virtual backgrounds.
No,
Right.
Jake, I'm in San Francisco too.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, I
Usually-
should do that to get rid of my kitchen.
Usually I've been hit when I do the beach background with some sort of sunscreen pun, so anyone
The
can
beach
throw
is
them on
nice.
today.
So
Yeah.
wait, Jake,
Go.
I'm sorry, you said you go, how do you do this? You go to stop
So-
video?
The little caret, upward caret next to it, and then it says choose virtual background.
I don't see it.
I can share my screen if that works. Stop video, little right caret, assuming you've installed, well, of course you've installed your
I
camera.
see mute, and then I see mute my audio, stop video, rename.
Yeah, stop video. Is there no little caret next to it? Little upward caret.
Oh, let me go. Start video. I don't see it. Okay.
Oh.
I can walk you through it later, Keith.
Okay, we'll go through it later.
Well,
John, you wanna
everyone,
kick it off?
yeah, for sure. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. We've got a great group this morning. I'm John Hayes, founder of Market Trust, based here in Chicago, actually out here in the suburbs right now due to the lovely quarantine. Here with my fellow co-hosts, Taylor Gaines and Keith Kriegler. Would you like to introduce yourselves real briefly so we can all get familiar?
Sure. I'm Taylor Gaines. I'm founder of Social Gains. We're a social first marketing agency where we really focus on helping companies connect the dots across technology, sociology, and business. #DriveGains.
And good
Gotta
morning,
get
I'm Keith. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was like, I just got to get my pun in there.
And good morning, I'm Keith Kriegler. I'm a marketing executive about to launch a new program called Savier. Savier is an e-learning platform that's also going to tie in with enablement services where we could help companies execute projects. So John, Taylor, and I are actually working on several initiatives to support one another in our businesses, and we wanted to create a community, so we're glad that everybody's here.
Thanks, Keith. And as part of that, we really wanted to make this practical for everyone and fellow entrepreneurs like ourselves who are obviously going through a time of uncertainty, some unprecedented challenges, and we wanted to make this very conversational, very informal, and to have everyone come away with really practical ways to grow their business and not just survive this kind of turbulent time, but also thrive as well and use it to find great opportunities to continue to grow. So this is really based on just conversations and helping each other find practical ways to manage each of our businesses on a day-to-day basis. So we really want it to be interactive. It's going to be very, conversational, question-based, and hopefully everyone leaves the session today with a little bit more knowledge about something they can implement this week to continue to help their business really succeed during this time. So just to start, I know maybe if we could do quick, maybe 20-second intros for everyone. Michelle, would you maybe like to kick it off?
Sure, happy to. So I'm Michelle Elster. I'm president and owner of Rabin Research Company. We're a full-service market research company doing qualitative and quantitative market research across a variety of verticals globally.
Anybody else next? This is a conversation, so whoever would like to go next. So
I'll go next. Sure.
Go ahead, Jake.
Jake Bernstein, Director of Sales for ClearCut Analytics. We're an e-commerce solution that is helping brands inform how to grow online and offline. And excited to be here and learn a lot and converse to the extent we can today.
Great.
I'll go next. I actually work with Jake. I am newly a part of ClearCut Analytics, a Amazon analytics company, and very excited to be here. So thank you, everyone.
Hey,
Alex,
everyone.
Go.
Good to see you.
Who's next?
Go ahead, you.
Okay. I'm Alex. I'm a full-time freelance web and graphic designer, and I help startups and entrepreneurs use design as a differentiator just to attract new customers and investors and clients.
Bambi?
Hi, Bambi. Hi, this is Bambi. Great to meet everyone. I'm a content marketer. My company is called Brand Pixies. We are in the process of launching that. So there are two parts to my business. One is the content creation. The other is creating for the different channels. So we do a lot of content strategy and content marketing plans for our clients too.
Great.
I'm Anne. I'm a freelance jack of many trades, project management, some social media, not like Taylor, and a lot of marketing communications and content generation. I do quite a bit of writing.
Sounds great. Do we have anyone else?
AJ.
Hey guys, this is my first time. My name is AJ. I'm the CTO looking for a CEO for ShipGenie. ShipGenie is a platform which helps retailers and manufacturers to deliver to their consumers' door and compete with Amazon. Glad to join.
Cool. Thanks for helping out this morning, everyone. So thought that'd be helpful just so we all get a sense for everyone's expertise, background, again, because we do want this to be very conversational and interactive. So sounds like most people are B2B, which is helpful to as we kind of frame up the conversation. But wanted to start by kicking it off with a couple questions. What systems are you typically looking at for your data at this point in time, right? Where do you typically pull your data from to make decisions about where to spend, what strategies to use, et cetera? And if there aren't certain systems that you're using, is that a challenge that you're facing and something that you really feel like is holding you back from really optimizing your business, both financially and strategically? So I don't know, AJ or someone who's maybe more on building certain startups, is that a helpful place for you to start?
Sure. I can start off. Honestly, we thought ourselves earlier in the year as a data and integrations company, but more and more I realize that our business deals with data and being able to predict costs for our customers and save money for them, save inventory volumes for them. So for us, data is really the raw material based on which we work on. Right now, the way we are getting some of it is through customer data mostly, and then working with some of the other providers to get the insights. But I would be very keen to hear if there are thoughts on how to get more data, better data, especially around logistics?
No, and I think that's certainly a good place to start. And it's great that we have the ClearCut analytics team on today because given your background with really serving as an e-commerce solution, and I may be jumping the gun a little bit because I know somewhat about AJ's business from the Founder Institute, but basically, there's a really strong correlation here between the e-commerce data that someone like ClearCut's able to provide with the type of customers that AJ's business, ShipGenie, who's providing bespoke delivery solutions for smaller retailers. There's a strong correlation there between how that data can be used to actually optimize not only the ordering process, lead gen, and sales process for some of these retailers to all the way to when that package is actually getting delivered. So from the ClearCut team's perspective, what are maybe some of the systems you've seen your clients using that you found to be particularly effective in giving you the data you need to optimize some of your strategic and sales-driven solutions?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do my best here. So for Good Measure, we have two sides of the business. One is sort of an analytic solution that's helping informing brands on category growth, other brands in the space, competitive intel. The other is actually a series of brand management services that help combine that data with managing someone's Amazon presence every day. On this side, right, the Amazon side, they're struggling most with out of stocks as well as suppressed buy boxes, which prevent people from actually being able to buy the product when they want to. So that main piece is, hey, how do we help them forecast more effectively? Can we go back in our data systems of our own a year and say, hey, when there were crazy sales spikes, what was the demand? What did the demand look like? So we have some internal tools that are helping our clients do that today, mainly because out of stock and suppressed buy box are the things that can kill sales seemingly overnight for a given product. We've even generated some reports to see what some brands' competitors are also out of stock on, or maybe when their buy boxes are suppressed, so that this brand over here can take advantage of that, depending on how the inventory looks. John, to your other point, I don't have access to sort of the full scope of logistics services, tools, capabilities on our client side, but we're at least informing what's happening on the Amazon landscape so that they can take better advantage of those tools.
So does
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just curious, do you help with only Amazon providers, or do you help basically anyone who's looking to look at safety stock and out of inventory cycles, etc.?
On more of the inventory side and logistics, just Amazon there. We do feel that our data could inform how to behave and approach other .coms and even at the retail level, just because of its sort of sense of leading indicator. But on the logistics front, mostly just Amazon.
Okay, thanks.
So I have a question, Jake, just with some of the clients and maybe Jennifer as well, like what are you finding from clients that you're dealing with where Amazon just kicked off those 3,000 companies and they're only delivering essentials? Now they're stopping delivery, that was just in the paper yesterday. Like, how are you keeping up with some of those trends and advising your clients? I mean, it's so current, every day you're reading something, that's going on with Amazon.
Yeah, Keith, to your point, it's changing every day, right? So what we told a client maybe Monday is going to be a little different from today. We're pretty fortunate that most of our clients are deemed essential because they're mostly in the vitamin, minerals, and supplements, natural product space. So we're fortunate, but that could change a little bit tomorrow. All that being said, we have our eye on a bunch of Google alerts and articles and just the things that we typically read and are sending to our clients right away. Those are more often than not the subject matter of every weekly call that we have to say, hey, we have our eye on this, right? We're doing our best we can, but it is causing some uncertainty either way. In that process, I think we're also saying, you're a vitamin brand. The immunity and stress relief are, categories that are exploding right now. Stay mindful of that, take advantage of it, and we usually try to provide as much data as we can in the process.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, Jake. Appreciate you jumping into that, because I think from my perspective, and some people kind of dispute this, but I always tie the sales and marketing piece, very closely together. And obviously there's value to having certain marketing strategies that play to more impressions and brand awareness, et cetera. And I may be guilty of being, of almost tying, marketing tactics or certain campaigns to an end result, such as a sale or a lead gen situation too much. That's maybe one of my biases within marketing, but would be interested to hear from Bambi or Anne from kind of the agency and freelance side as well about not only maybe some of the types of data that you're looking at for your clients, but also what are some of the key indicators that you're using to guide strategic decisions and help really optimize campaigns or put campaigns together for the types of clients you're working with.
Oh, and do you want to go first? Okay. I'm guilty of the same, and it also sometimes depends on the clients you're working with. So for me, most of the time, lead gen is one of the biggest goals because, end of the day, if it doesn't lead to sales, clients don't see a point. So it is a big part of it, and I don't deny that fact. So, but yes, the quality, we do try to tell them that the quality of the content and the contextual element of the content is also very important. So instead of promotion, so we try to, combine the organic aspects of it and also like the multi-channel strategy. That too depends from client to client. Like there are a lot of clients who still to this day are not very keen on social elements. Instead of just like paid ads on social, like the organic elements of social. So all those are like end of the day, everything has to lead to sales. But social doesn't always work like that. So we have to tell them stuff like that. So lead gen is an important part of my work. But when it comes to data and analytics, so these so if it's say something like a HubSpot, it does tie in a lot, but a lot of clients also try to, they have different platforms. A lot of time they are integrated with Google Analytics. Like say if it's a digital PR channel, so maybe you're using something like Cision. So you can tie that to your Google Analytics and you get an integrated result. But if it is a standalone social platform, then you have to do these different reports. So it just depends. It does depends. But at the end of the day, you'd have to tie it all into how much, what your lead goals were and how much percentage you have reached towards that, at least for me, unfortunately.
Echo a lot of thoughts there. So a lot of what I see oftentimes, even from the social perspective, is it comes down to a couple things. I'm going to unpack a lot of this real quick, because oftentimes with data, people don't know what data pieces they're missing, because data can mean a lot of things depending on how we're looking at it. Like AJ, you just asked about data as it pertains to logistics and how can you get ahead of that. And as you were talking, thoughts rolling through my head was, okay, well, if we know that your inventory is going to be out of stock and we need to communicate that to customers, can we look at a solution like a Facebook bot to help with managing customer service and communications quickly? And then Bambi, as you were talking about, using generation and things like that, then we could ask the question of, well, if you're doing lead generation, where are we distributing the communications? Are we doing something where it's a combination of online and offline? And, do we have zip code data or, first name, last name, email address, purchase history? There's so many different types of data that you can bring into the fold to then understand not only how do you communicate, how do you sell, how do you upsell, how do you cross-sell, and then where's the best set of return based on that. So I think, before you even enter into the discussion of like, what should we be doing? I think it first comes down to what data do we actually need, and really looking at how do we piece apart the puzzle so we can figure out what are the pieces that we're missing and, what are the things that we need to bring into the fold. And then, same with social media, what I often see is, a lot of people aren't thinking about like social commerce. So if you're in an e-commerce space, oftentimes I'm talking to businesses and I'm like, okay, well, have you considered what you need to be doing with social commerce and Instagram shop, Pinterest shop, Facebook shop, how that all works together? And is that being tied into the bigger picture, whether it's on, is it integrated into your WooCommerce or your Magento sites, or, how is that being integrated? And and then are we able to track that start to finish so we know like what they're again, average order value could be? How do we upsell that? Are we bringing that into the campaign so we can increase average order value? Things like that. So I think as we think about data, we need to think about not only like, what do I need to accomplish the goal I want to accomplish, but also what am I missing that could help empower me to either optimize what I'm doing or think about new solutions to help me scale what I'm already doing.
Absolutely, Taylor. And I think a big part of that as well is sometimes it's hard to understand the context of what you do and don't have unless you have an overall strategy or goal to really guide that type of, to really provide some framework to it, right? So as you mentioned, whether it's lead gen, e-com, you have to have an overarching strategy and direction to know where you're going to really be able to tie those pieces together to say, okay, if I really want to achieve this, I need X, Y, and Z. And maybe I have X, Y, but I don't have Z, right? So Keith, I know with your strong strategic background, how have you thought about, ways to be able to set that kind of high level strategy and then be able to tie it into a lot of the day-to-day practical execution elements that, Taylor and Bambi and other people have mentioned?
Right. And Bambi, it's what you were saying, just to address that and what Taylor was saying, it's really taking that information, identifying what the gaps are, obviously filling in the gaps, but then it's really how do you communicate that message? How do you inform that? Because to your point, marketing does lead to sales, but it's not a clear path, right? It's never a clear path. So it's really laying out all the different aspects of a campaign and what your channels are and what makes sense. It's being very smart and strategic. It's not just throwing a Facebook ad out there or throwing a post out there or just creating content for the sake of content. But it's really looking at what your budgets are, what your goals are, what your resources are, especially now, and how you can be very purposeful in that. And so that's one of the reasons why Taylor, John, and I are doing this is we're working very fluently together because John handles the data side and analytics and the information. Taylor's incredibly knowledgeable from the social and the communication standpoint, but it's how do the three connect together, right? So when you do get a lead for your, again, you were talking about how important lead generation is. What do you communicate to that person? Are they a reoccurring customer? How do you bounce them back? One of the things that we were talking about earlier is, again, just taking some of the things that are on people's mind today. Like I was asking Jake about Amazon and the businesses that were kicked off. That is on everybody's mind. How do I get deliveries, right? What about touchless delivery if you're a restaurant? How do you communicate that message? Are you doing something philanthropic to support the doctors and to, help with the mass, et cetera? Or blood donations, finding something that's a little bit different and unique that helps that company stand apart. So it's how it's all integrated and then brought to life in a very compelling way that reflects that brand well. So that's more my role, and that's how the three of us work together. Does that make sense, Bambi? Kind of what you were saying. Is that helpful?
Sorry, I kept nodding
That's
my
okay.
head. I was on mute.
That's okay.
Yes, it does make sense. Yes.
So
yeah, budget
Anne,
is
what
also
about
a
you?
big part of it. Budget and resources. That's something I missed out. That again depends, varies from project to project, but you can play around a little more if your client has a bigger budget. That's for sure. But then there is a creative challenge when they don't. So especially in terms like this with the new quarter and everything. So it should be interesting this quarter.
So let me ask you that just out of curiosity. So if they don't understand it, how do you help them connect the dots? Like what do you do? What have you done that has been proven? This is just anybody, right? But how do you help
There is
them?
a bit of a leeway in the past 6 months. It's like we asked for a bit of a leeway to play around a little more just to show them. So if we can show them some results in terms of, say, for me, it's a big passion to, merge the organic and the paid channels, like not just to, because most of them are, once they got into digital marketing, paid has been a big part of their lives. So to transition on to organic, which will not immediately lead to goals and stuff like digital PR and social or SEO, they don't lead to immediate results, right? They take time. So a bit of leeway on that and then show results over time. And the quality of leads, that's very important. The quality of leads is very important. Right. So then they do come around a bit and then they allocate some resources for it. So that's a win.
Great. Anne, you didn't get a chance to talk, or Alex, what do you guys think? Anne?
If I understood, AJ was asking about kind of anticipating. Is that what the question was? Like, how do you anticipate some of the demand? Was that?
Anticipate, or now there's predictive. So I'll give you an example. We went ahead and built really a supply chain predictive model that if I'm shipping stuff from basically, let's say, Texas to Chicago or to California, what is it that, what routes are going to get delayed, and based on that trigger some processes with the current situation.
Oh,
Now
wow.
we built the model, but we didn't have enough data points. So maybe I'm missing out where to source that data from. At least the base data that a truck or a shipment going from Dallas to San Francisco takes this much of time. Usually in this time of the season gets delayed by this much. All of that, I don't have those data points. But I feel if and I'm happy to give out that ML model so that people can use it. But without those data points, our model is just a model, right? So I was wondering if anyone has or knows about where we can source some of that data and really offer that model to businesses.
My only thought, and it's not super data driven, it's really just helping you identify some trends, and that is some monitoring tools. For instance, if you see travel restrictions between Dallas and San Antonio, and you're looking, and or it would be like a social monitoring, and I bet you Taylor would have some insight into that. Sorry, Taylor, put you on the hot seat. Looking at, where there's a shortage of truck drivers, or where there's a holdup with, a COVID outbreak with a certain city that's a hub in your distribution chain. That might be, that's what I thought I heard you talking about. So monitoring might be helpful in that case, in order to add to and refine the model that you already have, because it sounds like you already have some of the good basics for understanding your infrastructure and the distribution.
Right. Yep.
AJ, I think one other option from a data perspective is to, and it's, it kind of depends on your budget as well, but if you just look at larger kind of for sale database companies as well, like Axion, I believe USA Data is another one. Some of those, I'm not fully familiar with particular niches with which their data specializes, but that's one option, especially as you and I have connected about raising venture capital dollars and those types of things, and that's one area where you can even include that in your use of funds for your fundraisers, to kind of build some of that database management and procurement into your budget as well. Jake or Jennifer from ClearCut, any suggestions on maybe other database solutions that AJ could use for that type of data?
AJ, where are you getting the data today?
So right now our data is as our customers are using, let's say, for their logistics, and that's very minimal. I have to be upfront with you. We would like, if there's I think NTSB or any of those data sources which says, typically in this year at this time of the year, these many trucks were going and this was the volume carried, this was the delay or time taken, etc. If there's
So it sounds like you're getting some of it from the clients, but really minimal.
Yeah, I mean that's very minuscule.
Yeah, to me that sounds like it's much more of a more complex solution, because it sounds like if you're doing anything with getting that data, it would be through sensors, because you'd want to know if it's like the capacity of a truck, you'd want to know what the weight of that is, and how full they are, and the only way to get that is if there's like a sensor on the truck. I can connect you with my friend Carrie of Culminate Strategy Group. All they do is database design, RPA, AI, ML, and blockchain. And she can, I think, definitely answer the question a bit deeper. Just Googling some potential like location data options. But I would definitely start with just like Googling, like how could you, if you're doing a piecemeal solution, like how can you get, location data, transportation data, and see if anyone is selling it right now. So if 3PLs are selling the data on what their like average truck volume is, I would look at, would be my best guess.
Sure. I was actually working with the professor in Northwestern. If university and these sources have any of this data, which we can put out, and we're not looking to make money, at least for now in this circumstances. But if we can help with the supply chain with our model, that'll be a good thing. But I'll explore that option. Thank you.
In shifting industries just a little bit, I would like to check in with Alex. And Alex is a terrific graphic designer here in Chicago, by the way. He's done awesome work for our company, Market Trust. Designed our pitch deck. He's done the front end of our MVP, so he's awesome. He did not pay me or ask me to do this plug for him. I'm just giving it organically. But Alex, given that you have, your focus on the graphic design area, are there ways in which you've been able to incorporate data into how you go about finding graphic design clients? Are there certain things you look at from a much different industry than logistics or other things that we would typically associate with being very data heavy? Are there certain ways that you've used data to facilitate your own lead gen for more of the graphic design space?
Well, probably not as much lead gen, but I think in terms of design, I think there's definitely a misconception where it's more subjective. It's more kind of, creative, just, you're a very artistic person, but in actuality, it's very data driven. And so, a lot of the things that I work on are, lead gen tools, campaigns through social, and there's a lot of testing that goes involved with that. So you can hook up your analytics, and then you want to see how the images reflect and get people to respond. The change different words, run A/B tests through email campaigns, different landing pages, and so you always want to be tweaking that, and you always want to have analytics set up. And then also in terms of designing an app, so let's say the Market Trust app, for example, you definitely want to have pretty detailed analytics set up so that you can see kind of how people are using the app, if they're clicking in a certain area, if they're engaging in the right way, or if they're getting stuck in certain areas. So definitely with UX, user experience design, you want to be able to see how people are using your website, your application, and then see kind of firsthand where they're getting stuck and kind of where you can make improvements. So design is always an iterative process. I think in terms of using data to find new clients, I'm definitely interested in definitely exploring more tools. I know there are some different methods of using LinkedIn to kind of do an outreach. But I think that's something that I'm definitely interested in hearing from other people, especially the agency experience of kind of how they use kind of data to kind of weed out the people that they don't want to work with, or the people that they think are kind of like in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really great point there, especially at the end, is how do you use either certain data filters or other qualitative filters to determine who are the potential headache clients and who do I really want to work with, right? Has anyone incorporated anything, any of those types of filters into how they go about their lead generation process, even before kind of the reality of coronavirus, since that has maybe changed some things? Has anyone done that type of more quantitative filtering for lead gen purposes?
If I can't drink with you, I don't want to work with you. That's my new filter.
What would you say, Taylor?
If I can't drink with you, I don't want to work with you.
That's a very good qualitative one. I can weigh in with a couple thoughts. So maybe a little less on the qualitative side to start out, but Alex, I would imagine for you having technographic data to the extent you can get it is probably pretty big. There are some very robust tools, be it Discover.org or ZoomInfo, which probably a little more common in the B2B world. But with that type of tool, you can filter down to, are they using Google Ads, certain Facebook channels, backend systems, to better understand, like, okay, if I were to work with them, what channels might they then want to create assets for, advertise on? How does that relate to, say, Bambi, your thoughts around HubSpot and channels that we use there? It probably also give you an indication of budget too. That, of course, is sort of a bigger tool. On LinkedIn, even just having some enhanced search capabilities there, being creative with like Boolean searches, you'll be pretty intrigued to see what kind of results you get there. But I think technographics, as well as what is called intent data, which might be sort of triggers or scoops out there that might say, oh, you know, they just went through a fundraising event. They might be looking to build out a new website or add people to their team or what have you. So that's how Jen and I probably use data a lot. We have a tool called ZoomInfo that does help support it. Does cost a little bit, but there's some other smaller scale ones out there.
I think one of the biggest determiners is more than any tool is when you speak to a prospective client is their intentions. So long-term intentions are very important, especially in marketing. Nothing happens in a day or a month. So, and it's not about a big or a small budget, but if they are not willing to, work with you for at least a considerable period of time, you will not be able to generate the results that they want. So just organically talking to them and finding that out is also very important. Sometimes you do pilot projects, but even those have to last for at least 3 months for me. I mean, all these channels, that are organic channels that we work with, they're not going to generate any results in less than 6 months. So that's a big determinant for me.
Well, no, I think that's a great place to start wrapping up our discussion today. We do have 3 minutes left on our Zoom. Still working with the free version. So we're, seems like sometimes we get the extension the full hour and sometimes we don't. So if anyone has any tricks on how to trick Zoom into giving you the full hour, that would be great. But really
John,
appreciate it. Yes.
I can offer, if everyone is okay with Google Hangouts, I can offer my company's Google Hangouts every Thursday for whatever time we need.
Oh, that would be great, AJ. Appreciate it. I'll follow up with you on that.
Sure.
That'll be a great alternative as well. So again, I want to thank everyone for hopping on this morning. There were some really great insights shared and appreciate everyone providing their backgrounds. If anyone has any, follow-up or additional questions, either, later today, throughout the week, we will have this session recorded and posted to an easy landing page that we'll share out with everyone. But also feel free to, message Keith, Taylor, myself on LinkedIn. If you wouldn't mind sharing each of your LinkedIn profiles in the chat here, that would be great, just so we can continue the conversation going forward. We're doing this every Thursday through at least the end of April to just provide, again, a community support resource for other entrepreneurs. And we'll talk about other things beyond the data piece as well. Keith will get into more strategic discussion. Taylor will talk more about social as well. And we want to make this a very collaborative, practical experience for everyone. So does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up here in just about a minute or so?
I'll leave with some closing takeaways. So if you're new to anything, whether it's lead generation, business development, whatever it is, cast as wide of net as you can, so you can get as much feedback as you can, because that will help with starting to whittle down the data that you need. So Alex, when you were talking about like practices for lead generation and LinkedIn, just go as big as you can, because the market will tell you where you should fit or where you're best suited. That's my takeaway: is cast a wide net, get the feedback, adjust and optimize, and then refine and go from there.
And one last suggestion is, please join us next Thursday. Invite anybody. If you have specific topics, because we want to make it a community, we want it to serve everybody in information sharing. Just DM John, myself, or Taylor and say, hey, look, I'd love to get more information about this. And so as we start to gain momentum, and it's great to see everybody this morning, we could address what's on your mind, make sure we're covering everybody's needs.
This was fun. Thanks for setting it up.
Absolutely.
Our pleasure.
Thanks,
It was
everyone.
great to meet everyone. Bye.
Have a
Good
great
rest
day,
of the day.
everybody.
Stay
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.